I care about right now. I've been getting busy. I'm outside. I've been leading an example in a great way. You heard.
Yo, Jimmy.
I break that nigga 30 minutes. They don't really know who Nas is. If he, son,
no, but he knows.
My son, my son can't tell you one Nas record. You heard? Like, let's keep it a buck here. I actually reached out to Nas to actually.
Whoa.
I'm doing my chicken head right now because I really want him to get on this record.
You had better get ready for battle when one of the finest lyricists in hip-hop says, "You've gone too far." Jim Jones was left reeling after Nas. The Queensbridge icon who wrecked careers with a single track executed a verbal assassination. This isn't your typical rap feud either. This has to do with territory, respect, and the consequences of prodding the wrong giant. Whether Jim Jones will answer is not the question. It concerns his ability to endure what lies ahead. We must delve into the intricate topography of New York hip-hop in order to comprehend this dramatic encounter between Nas and Jim Jones. These aren't just two rap artists insulting each other. They stand for various times, distinct boroughs, and hold different cultural perspectives. The poet laureate of hip-hop, Nasir Jones, sprang from the Queensbridge houses in the early 1990s. Nas became one of the most renowned lyricists in the genre, with hits like Illmatic and It Was Written. He had a fluid flow, a surgical pen game, and an unrivaled ability to create stories that vividly depicted street life. The culture paid attention to what Nas had to say. Jim Jones, meanwhile, made his mark during the 2000s Harlem Renaissance in Dipset. In addition to his music, the Capo's reputation was forged by his bravado, street cred, and unrepentant New York demeanor. Jones embodied another form of sincerity. He was less reflective than Nas, but just as fervent about his community and his team. Hip-hop and the conflict between Queens and Harlem are not new. Each of these boroughs claims to be the real center of New York rap. And there has always been an undercurrent of competition among them. However, the generational gap is what really intrigues me about this dispute. As Jim Jones personifies the flamboyant, strict-oriented movement that ruled the mid-2000s, Nas represents the heyday of conscious lyricism. The two artists coexisted peacefully in their respective fields for many years. Nas solidified his reputation as one of the best musicians to ever touch a microphone by releasing more critically praised albums, while establishing his own empire through his business endeavors and music. Jim Jones kept up his relationships with the Dipset. However, in the hip-hop industry, disrespect is like debt that needs to be paid back, while respect is like currency. This conflict's seeds were sown months ago, simmering beneath the hip-hop scene in New York. During a podcast episode, Jim Jones made a seemingly innocuous remark about Quas, Nas's applicability in the current rap context. Jones asserted that legendary reputation does not equate to present relevance, arguing that up-and-coming musicians gave New York hip-hop more vitality and street cred. The internet grapevine of hip-hop quickly spread those words. Fans started taking sides right away, with Dipset followers supporting their capo and Queensbridge supporters standing up for their hometown hero. Social media turned into a battleground for generational allegiance and pride. Nas made the calculated decision to be quiet at first, which only served to heighten the rumors. Silence, however, did not imply acceptance, as anyone familiar with the Queensbridge legend understood. It required planning. The true turning point was when Jim Jones went on the offensive in a radio broadcast, saying things that hip-hop historians knew were never acceptable and casting doubt on Nas's legitimacy. Jones claimed that it wouldn't even be close if he and Nas were both emerging in the current environment. He asserted that there was a distinction between being poetic and being genuine, suggesting that Nas's skill as a lyricist was in some ways less genuine than his own streetwise style. Those remarks set off a chain reaction that would result in something neither artist had foreseen. The reaction was terrible and fast. Nas dropped a song that was a masterwork of lyrical devastation rather than merely a disc hit. Nas gave bars that shrewdly analyzed Jim Jones's career. reputation, and assertions over a melancholic beat that sampled vintage New York jazz. Jim Jones wasn't the only target of the song. It methodically dissected his claims, professional path, and position in hip-hop history. Nez reminded the audience of the distinction between creating a legacy and stealing other people's ideas, as well as between having a long-lasting influence and being momentarily relevant. In response to Jones's remarks regarding authenticity, he emphasized both his own street cred and the lyrical prowess that made him a legend. The hip-hop scene exploded. Before Jim Jones could even reply, social media sites were ablaze with responses, with many people proclaiming the feud finished. Well-known musicians were trapped in the middle, showing respect for both sides while also being well aware of the lyrical divide between them. Jim Jones's team was frantically trying to come up with a statement that wouldn't further disgrace its singer. According to music industry insiders, the issue was obvious. How would you react to someone whose whole reputation was based on using lyricism to kill careers? Hip-hop fans weren't buying Jim Jones' attempts to minimize the matter on Instagram, saying he was only sharing his thoughts and that everything was being exaggerated. Users questioned Jones's choice to begin a war he couldn't complete in the comments sections. Then the moment that made all the difference arrived. Jim Jones made the choice that would define this entire dispute when he was forced into a position and came under increasing criticism from peers and fans. Jones offered what could only be described as a physical challenge during a contentious Instagram live session, implying that they resolved their disputes in ways other than music. The number of watchers for the live feed skyrocketed. Screenshots went viral right away. Within minutes, the news was picked up by hip-hop bloggers. Jones had just turned a poetic argument into something potentially harmful. The hip-hop community's reaction was swift and overwhelmingly positive. Veterans started sharing posts about the importance of preserving tales. Artists from Queens gathered around the best representation of their borough. According to reports, officials in the music industry started attempting to defuse a potentially violent and legal scenario by making phone calls. Rap conflict was no longer the exclusive topic of discussion. Two grown men with real crews and real stakes were on the verge of a showdown that would terminate their careers or worse. This confrontation, which the hip-hop community is eagerly awaiting, highlights the culture's never-ending fight between honoring its traditions and accepting change. Jim Jones's annoyance reflects a generation torn between their own yearning for acceptance and the shadow of the golden age. NASA's response, meanwhile, illustrated why legends attained that status not only because of their prior achievements, but also because they were able to remind everyone of the reasons they were respected in the first place. Both careers have already been harmed by the fallout. Jim Jones is being questioned about his judgment and combat readiness, while Nas has found new popularity among younger admirers who are discovering his lyrical skills. The wars you start but are unable to complete might occasionally be the most destructive. How do you feel about this explosive scenario? Put a single word in the comments that best expresses how you feel. For more in-depth analyses of hip-hop's most significant disputes and forgotten tales, don't forget to subscribe. To ensure you don't miss any of our documentary breakdowns, click the notification bell.